Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of the evening, would you welcome back to St Andrews, Dick Gaughan.
Well, start off with a couple of tunes I learned from a guy called Cahill McConnell, who spends all his life playing the flute, literally. A couple of tunes. The first one's called Lagstrom's Pony, which is a jig about an Irishman called Lagstrom, who's highland likely. And the second one is a tune which he learned from a guy called Tommy Peebles. But Peebles was a bit pissed when he taught him the tune, and Cahill couldn't remember the name. So a tune called Tommy Peebles' Dig. This is a song which comes from Aberdeenshire. I haven't a clue who I learned it from, but it's a song about the it's a strange thing, but it's very difficult in Scotland not to become an alcoholic with the very civilised and enlightened licensing laws that we've got. But this is a song about a guy who does the other and goes completely teetotal. It's the unlikeliest song I know. Apart from the fact that he goes teetotal, the even more outrageous thing is that he does it for matrimonial reasons, which had me completely baffled. But there you go. I always find that matrimonial reasons tend to drive you the other way. But there you go. It's a song called Farewell to Whiskey, conveniently. I'll pick it up, is it? Johnny, my man, do you know think arising? For the days we'll spend and nights coming on, the stars out in night and the toast of is empty. So rise up, my Johnny, and come away. For the bairns at home are all roaring and greeting. They meal in the barrel to fill their beam wings, while he sat here and drink and you'll leave us lamenting. So rise up, my Johnny, and come away. Was that at the door that is speaking so kindly? It's the voice of my wee wifey Maggie by name. Come in, my dear lassie, I'm sitting beside me, as a room and the sailors are marrying on me. Oh, Johnny, my man, you know, mind the curtain, and the long summer's days and they never had an end. And would spend these long days among the sweet scented roses, and ne'er get a thought upon gone away. Oh, so will be I mind for these times that you speak of, but these days they are gone, I am born ne'er come again. But as for the present, we will try for to mend it. So gaze your hand, Maggie, and the time the wine. And it's Johnny Rose, and he banged the door open, saying, cursed be the ill who's not let me in. I am cursed be the whiskey that made me aye thirsty, and fare ye well, hoskie, for I'm o'er. This is a tune which was composed by the blind Irish harpist Tulloch, who lived in the 18th century in Ireland. And it's a very peculiar thing that Carlin's music was never accepted by the Irish tradies until a man called Sean Riordan came along. I don't know why. Maybe it's a bit too groovy for them or something. But Riordan brought Carlin's music back into popularity again. So it's going to be interesting to see if somebody eventually writes a book about the effect that Sean Riordan has had, in fact, on Irish music. Because if it hadn't been for Riordan, then groups like the Chieftains, Boys of the Lough, Planxty, etc. would never have existed. But this is one of the Planxties. It's a tune called Planxty Johnson, or in fact it's almost Planxty Johnson, because I learned it again from Cathal McConnell, and I was slightly refreshed at the time. And I met Cahill about a year later, and I found that I had a completely different first part from his first part. But so it's nearly Planksy Johnson. It's a song I learned from a fella called Bob Ling. I don't know if you know Bob at all. He's schizophrenic, to say the least. He's got about 5 different names that he uses for different things. Like, he's a sculptor, and he's a painter, so he's got different names for those. And he's also become an actor, so he uses a different name for that. And he writes books and uses a different name for that. It gets a bit confused after a while, because you don't know who the hell he is, you don't know what to address him as. You know? But he also collects songs from various sources, and this is a version of a ballad I learned from Bob. I always find this, I think people tend to take songs like this too seriously. I find this song really hilarious in places, because it's the song Lord Randall. Now, you probably know, in fact you must know at least one version of the song, but I always find this really amusing, that this guy has just been murdered, like, and he's lying there, and he's coughing his lungs up and squeezing out his last. And while he's doing that, all his family are standing around him saying, right, you have his houses and I'll take his bank balance. And that really appeals to my sense of humour, you know. But there you go. Anyway, it's a version of the song Lord Randall, and if you can guess the tune, you don't get a prize. But it took me a long time to realise what tune this was, and only then after I'd been told. And it's probably the most common tune in folk tradition. Actually, it's an English tune, strangely enough. Oh, and where hae you been, Lord Randall, my son? Oh, and where hae you been, my bonny young man? I have been to the greenwood, mother, mark my bed soon. But I'm weary with the hunting, and I fain would lie down. And we're at your supper, Lord Randall, my son. And we're at your supper, my bonny young man. Well, I told away my sweetheart, mother, make my bed soon. But I'm weary with the hunting, and I fain would lie down. And were it ye at your sweetheart, Lord Randall, my son? And were it ye at your sweetheart, my bonny young man? I had eels biled and ale brim, mother, make my bed soon. For I'm weary with the hunting, and I fain would lie down. And where are your good hounds, Lord Randall, my son? And where are your good hounds, my bonny young man? Well, so well done, died, mother, make my bed soon. For I'm weary with the hunting, and I fain would lie down. Oh, a fear ye are peasant, Lord Randall, my son. Oh, a fear ye are peasant, my bonny young man. Oh, yes, I am peasant, mother, make my bed soon. But I'm weary with the hunting, and I fain would lie down. And what will leave you to your brother, Lord Randall, my son? And what will leave you to your brother, my bonny young man? My lands and my houses, mother, make my bed soon. But I'm weary with the hunting, and I fain would lie down. And what will leave you to your sister, Lord Randall, my son? And what leave you to your sister, my bonny young man? My rings and my gold, mother, make my bed soon. But I'm weary with the hunting, and I fain would lie down. And what will leave you to your sweetheart, Lord Randall, my son? And what will leave you to your sweetheart, my bonny young man? The rope and the halter that hangs on yon tree, and there'll let her hang for the payson on me. Well, I'll keep this set pretty short actually, and do a fairly much longer second set. I'll just finish up with another tune actually. This one is a tune which is a sort of comes from the Scottish bagpipes. very strange thing about the bagpipes. I've got a very strong musical perversion. I think the bagpipes are the most beautiful instrument that was ever invented. But it's played by one guy, that is. If you get a bloody pipe band full of them, then they're appalling. But you get one piper, it's great. But this is a tune which illustrates the thing about the bag. I don't know if there's any English people here at all, but if there are, then this tune is going to sound extremely alien to their ears, because the bagpipes, the drones always hold the note A, or approximately the note A, and the thing is, you can play in 3 keys in a major. You can play in the key of A, which is no problem. Then you can play in the key of D, which the A drone fits in with quite nicely at times. And then you can play in the key of G. Now, you don't really need to know a great deal about musical theory to know that if you're playing in the key of G and you've got a constant A note all the time, then someone's got to give. It's amazing that it doesn't actually. But this is a tune. The reason I explain all this is that about 6 weeks ago I played this tune in a folk club. And a guy came up afterwards and said, look, I enjoyed that tune you played, but did you realise your guitar was hell of off out of tune? So I usually explain that the guitar, I hope, will be in tune. But it's just a tune called the Jig of Slurs. And the first half of it is in D, and the second half of it is in G. And all the time you've got an A going through it, which makes it a wee bit weird, in fact.
Dick Gaughan. Dick will be back later on.
I said I would sing this song, so I'll sing it now, before I forget. It's a very peculiar song, in fact. It's a song about a man who was killed in the English-Scottish Wars of 1745. You might remember those wars, but the one outstanding thing to me about it is that there was a Frenchman leading the Scots and a German leading the English, and we all got beat. The Germans won, actually, because they're still there. But the intriguing thing about this song is that the guy in question, it's a song called MacCrimmon's Lament, and the guy in question was a man called Donald MacCrimmon, who was the brother of the last of the hereditary pipers to the MacLeods of Skye. And Donald MacCrimmon was one of these weird wee buggers, because MacCrimmon had a prophecy. No, that's the wrong word. A premonition. That was very good, that. A premonition that he was going to die the night before he was actually killed. Now, I didn't realise that was funny. I must keep that one. But Donald MacCrimmon had this premonition, and it was at an event called the Rout of Mayo, which took place the day before the Battle of Culloden. Now, Donald MacCrimmon had a premonition, but to anybody else it would have been common sense, because Donald MacCrimmon in 1745 lived in Scotland among 7.5 million Scots. And for some reason, Donald MacCrimmon decided to fight on the side of the English. And he died. There you go. There's a song called MacCrimmon's Lament. Apparently, MacCrimmon was a great piper, and he wrote the tune the night before he died, but he made the great mistake. His sister, actually, put the words to it, but she made the mistake of writing them in Gaelic. Now, I shouldn't imagine there's many people here that speak Gaelic. I don't speak Gaelic, fortunately, and I don't imagine there's many other people who do. But very, very conveniently, somebody took the trouble to translate them into English, which I'm very pleased about. I got the tune from Delina MacLennan, who sings it in Gaelic, which baffled me entirely, and I got the words from Jeannie Robertson, which still baffled me because she sang it in Aberdonian. So I had it translated, and this is a slightly more articulate version, I suppose, in terms of words. MacCrimmon's Lament. Duncolin speaks the night of sailing, the banshee crowns her note of wailing, but mine blowing with sorrow are streaming for him who never return again, MacCrimmon. No more, no more, no more forever, and war nor in peace shall return, MacCrimmon, till dawns the great day of the mine burning. MacCrimmon's home no more returning. The breeze on the breeze is mournfully mourning. The broken hollows paint of the morning. But mine blowing with sorrow was streaming for him who now war return again, McCrammon. No more, no more, no more forever. And born on peace shall return McCrammon. Till dawns the great day of the Mayo burning. McCrann's home no more return. This must be the, I think out of all the Scottish songs that have been sung in folk clubs throughout the whole time of folk clubs, is this song. I think this has been sung most times, in fact. It's a song which was written by Hamish Henderson. You may have heard it sung by my two favourite grandmothers, Robin Hall and Jimmy McGregor. But I've always got the impression that this song has been sung without a great deal of thought. It's a song called the 51st Highland Division's Farewell to Sicily. And I think, you know, people who sing this song usually sing it as a big rave up, jump up and down, pour pints over your head, let's have a good time type chorus song. And how do we think about this song? And basically it's a song about a bunch of guys who joined the British Army during the Second World War to get rid of wee Adolf Hitler. And they joined up and they thought, right, now the jocks are in, this is going to be no bother. All we've got to do is get down to Dover, batter our way across the North Sea to Calais and shove them back. But they reckoned without the wisdom of a man called Winston Churchill. Now, Winston Churchill reckoned that the shortest route between London and Paris was via Algiers. And he sent half of the British army around through the north of Morocco and all these places in the hopes that Joe Stalin and his boys would be wiped out by wee Adolf, who was moving up that way, because Winston Churchill was a secret admirer of Adolf Hitler's. And unfortunately that failed for wee Winnie. Fortunately for the rest of us, it didn't fail. But these guys fought their way across North Africa and they got to Sicily. And they arrived there, those of them that were left alive, arrived there pretty knackered, like. And they got a hold of the place eventually. And we're all sitting there thinking, thank Christ, that's all over, we can get home now. But they reckoned again without wee Winnie. He sent them a letter saying, lads, I know that you're very patriotic, and I know you've got leave due to you, but I'm not going to be so cruel to you as to ask you to take that leave. I know that what you want to do more than anything in the world is to do your bit for your country and go over to Italy and do the same thing to Italy as you've done elsewhere. So lads, I'm going to cancel your leave and I'm going to send you over there. At which point they all jumped up and down and poured pints over their heads and sang choruses. I get the impression that maybe this song had been done a wee bit fast, in fact. So I tend to do it a wee bit more seriously. If anybody falls asleep in this, actually, give them a whiskey or something and they'll revive. But I tend to do it a wee bit more slowly than that. Anyway, it's the 51st Highland Division's Farewell to Sicily. The tune is called the Farewell to the Creek. Let me tune this first. Has fae, he will na come for his veen o' the day. The sky o'er Messina's an Gaughan grey, and all the brickchomers are eerie. And farewell, ye banks o' Sicily, farewell, ye valiant Sean, there's name can snur the waves, oh, the brickchomers are eerie. Farewell, ye banks o' Sicily, farewell, ye valiant shore, there's nae joke while mourn the cales, oh, the brickchomers are eerie. And down the Starhan Lane, the waterside, waiting your turn, and the ferries of war. And down the Starhan Lane, the waterside, oh, the brickchomers are eerie. The drammy has brought, he can't be seen, for his own weapon of war. He's based himself up for a 40 hand, or till leave his Lola his dearie. Farewell, ye dives o' Sicily, farewell, ye sheathen and ho, will all main shabeens and bodies. For kind signorinas were cheery. And farewell, ye dives o' Sicily, farewell, ye sheathen and home, will all mine shabeens and bullies, for joke men a date ways dearie. And tune the pipes and drop the tenor drum, waiting your kit in the side on the wall. And tune the pipes and drop the tenor drum, pair bloody squaddies are weary. This is another song I said I'd sing, so I'll sing it now actually. It's a song which has a chorus, in fact, and well, what's it'll do. It's yeah, so it's a song which has a chorus. It used to be sung an awful lot at one time, but I haven't heard anybody else singing it for a long time. A song about the classic situation of unrequited love. Other than that, I can't think of anything about it. A song called the Rashi Moor. As I gaiden by yon Rashi Moor, fast spied I in my true love's door. My heart grew sad and mine grew blind to see my boy love leave me behind. Oh, are ye gone, love, to leave me now? Or will ye gang, love, and leave me now? But ye forsake your ain true love, for to gang wi' a lad that you never knew. And as I come in by yon waterman, the brig was broken at yon mill dam. I bent my back and I took her through, but she's gone to leave me now. And it's will ye gang, love, and leave me now? Or would ye gang, love, and leave me now? Would ye forsake your ain true love, for to gang wi' a lad that you never knew? But it's I will tell ye the reason why. She loves another and cares no for I. And I will tell the reason to ye, for he has her mere gold than me. And so will ye gang, love, and leave me now? And will ye gang, love, and leave me now? Would ye forsake your ain true love, for to gang wi' a lad that you never knew? And as I gaiden by yon Rashi Moor, fast spied I in my true love's door. My heart grew sad and mine grew blind to see my bonny love leave me behind. Oh, I you gang, love, till evening? Or would you gang, love, and leave me now? Would ye forsake your ain true love for to gang wi' a lad that you never knew? I'd like to ask a friend of mine to come up and play a few tunes with me. A man who's done a great deal of work for the TMSA in Scotland, concertina player Tom Ward. They get in tune with you, tell me about.
This is 3 examples from the work of James Scotland Skinner. Or 3 Skinner's tunes. First tune's an air. Singing's a hornpipe called Pythagoras' favourite, you know, square root of some of the squares. Better known as a mathematician. And the third one is it's a wee bit of a reel called the left-handed fiddler. I think it must have been written for Angus Grant, you know. For the benefit of my guitarist, you know, first tune's an A, and the second one's an D, and the third tune's an A. Thanks. Think you've got problems?
said I would sing this, so I better sing it now. This is it's another song written by Hamish Henderson. A song called the John McLean March, which is about one of the finest or most important politicians that ever arose this century. A fellow called John McLean, who went to jail for his principles during the First World War. And I've never found anything to equal Maclean's words on the occasion. But his statement as to why he refused to join the British Army during the First World War, he explained it by saying that he didn't like joining in family quarrels, which sounded to me as good a reason as any. Also a very accurate reason. But anyway, Maclean got jailed. It's very sad that somebody has to die and then 50 years later become a trendy folk hero. Maclean became the sort of Che Guevara figure in 1973, which was amazing to me because Maclean looked nothing and behaved nothing like Che Guevara, but among the sort of trendy people in the sort of socialist vein, and Maclean became a groovy guy, and everybody became Macleanites. But I think they thought it was some form of toothpaste or something, but they all did it anyway. They all wore Maclean badges and things. But John McLean actually was a wee bit more important than that, because he was the only person ever to unite the working class on the west coast of Scotland, which is quite a job at the best of times. But Maclean did it. And this is a song about when he was released from prison in 1918. He went back to Glasgow, and by one of these great west coast coincidences, he found himself in Glasgow at the same time as there was a rent strike on, and a lot of people just packed up working that day anyway and went out and they held a massive rally for Maclean on Glasgow Green. And this is a song Hamish wrote about that particular day. It's called John McLean March. If you know it, please join in. Aye, Mac, did you see him as he come down by Gorgie, a war o'er the Lammerlaw and north o' the Tay? Yon man is coming, and the hail turn has torn the roots, but I'll share he'll win back to Glasgow the day. The Janers and Hoders on our marching frae Clyde Bank, come on now and hear him, he'll be our thrang to bed. Turn out Jock and Jimmy, leave your crans and jar McColgan tread. Our John McLean's coming home to the Clyde. Argyle Street in London roads the route that we're marching. The lads frae the Brummelaw are here to a man. Hey, new wars your hodrums, you big heathen chuchter, it's your pipes mate and march at the head o' the clan. Hello, Pat Malone. Sure I knew you'd be here, so the red and the green lad will wear side by side. Gorbals has the day, and Glasgow belongs to him. Now our John McLean's coming home to the Clyde. Forward to Glasgow Green, we'll march and get order. We'll grips his banner wheel, that boy isn't late. Hey, well, man, there's Johnny new, it's him there, the bonny fechter. Lennon's his fair lad and the connects his mate. Jack tent when he's speaking, for they'll mind what he said here, and Glasgow Boer City and the whole world besides. Oh, man, the scarlet's bonny, here's to ye Highland Shawnee. Our John McLean's coming home to the Clyde. Aye, well, when it's finished, I'm a back to Springburn. Come home to your tea, John, we'll soon hang you fed. It's hard work for speaking, och I'm sure he'll be tired the night. I'll sleep on the flare, Mac, and gie John a bed. The whole city's quiet now, it kens that he's resting. At home he has Glasgow friends, their fame and their pride. Red will be worn, my lads, and Scotland will march again. New great John McClare has come home to the Clyde. John McClare. Finish up with a Scottish ballad again, which is probably, I don't know, when I went to school I learned a version of this in school and I thought it was the most horrible song I'd ever heard. But then again, I learned the song out of Cecil Sharp's Folk Songs for Schools book, which is enough to put anybody off it. But there you go. But the very funny thing, you know, again, with my really warped sense of humour, I find this song very funny, because it's a song about the old raggle-taggle gypsies idea, but you got this lady who lives in a big castle and is married to this guy who's a lord, like it's his castle, like, you know, and there they are in this big castle, and the lord goes out to the office or wherever he goes in the morning, and halfway through the day, they've come round these three gypsies and they start making like folk singers outside the front door, and they're chanting away there. And this lady suddenly decides that she's going to become the first groupie in the world. And she comes down the stair and runs away with them, which is fair enough, until the Lord comes home, like. And he gets off his wee horse and he goes in and he sits down to his dinner. And he's sort of about halfway through his dinner when he realises there's something missing. And he reaches for the pepper and the salt, but they're all there. So he looks down and he realises that he's a wife short. So he sort of queries all the guys in the place and they say, oh, well, your wife, you know, she pissed off about 3 hours ago with these gypsy guys. So he could have done two things. He could have gone to bed and forgot about it like a sensible man, or he could have gone to church and said a few prayers, but he didn't. No, he went down and he got his horse out and he went after them like a fool. So he chases them all the way and eventually he finds them. And he says to his wife, look, you coming home with me, like, you know, this has gone far enough. And she says, no. So then he could have done two things. He could have gone off and got drunk, or he could have taken it like a man and gone home, but he didn't. He cut all their heads off, which I thought was hilarious. But it also struck me as being a bit obscene that a guy could actually take it upon himself, because he was the wee lord of the area, to go and cut other heads off. But the funny part about the song, that is, the thing that amuses me most about it, is that they're all lying there on the ground, headless, with blood and guts and things coming out the top of their necks. And he turns around and he says to her, right, you coming home with me now? And she says, no. I'm going to stay here with these gypsy guys. So necrophilia and folk song still exists. But there you go. It's a song called The Gypsy Laddies. I think I learned half of this from Jeannie Robertson. I think I made up the other half, but there you go. That's very good. Eh? I'm glad I did that, because I just realised I'm out of tune. Still hopeless out of tune. The gypsies come to our hodor and blow it, and they sang bonny ho. They sang so sweet and so complete, at the charm the hell of Phoebe's lady ho, and she come tripping down the stair, where men and stone on before her ho. And the chicken look at her milford face, and the cast their spells out her ho. And the guitar the nutmeg fine like wines, the wee bad ginger oh. And the old dame stepped to her side, stole the gold ring off her finger oh. And she's ta'en off her silken gown, but on her tartan lady, and she's caught her maidens to her side, for to bid fair and we'll to the lady ho. But when her good Lord come home that night, he was spearing far as a lady. Oh, the hound has run and the hawks are flown, aye, and the gypsies a wobbly lady. Oh, gae saddle to me the bonny black steed, the brown was never so speedy ho. And the time when I'll burn it or drink, until I bring back my lady ho. And it's he's her east and he's running west, and he's right through Strasbourg ho, until he spied her same bonny lass, she was following the gypsy laddies ho. Well, the last time that I crossed the Sporn, I had dukes and lords to tend me, oh. But this night time and talk to my white feet and wade, when the gypsies wade under in me, oh. Well, I've 7 brothers among his own, but ye sang bonny ho. But this very night he will hang high, for still on the hell of Phoebe's lady ho. And it's he sent far a hangman for 5 and another 3 carcody ho. And he's laid them on to me and my hand, for still on was bonny lady ho. Last night I slept in a braw feather bed, the sheets undone so bravely ho. But this night I'm in lie in a cold barren field, when the gypsies lie under in me ho.
I would like to have more, you would like to more. We've run 35 minutes over time as it is. Just one thing before we finish, I'd like to say, Dick, 3 years is too long without Dick Gaughan. Anyway, I'd like to thank Dick for turning up tonight, Archie Fisher for doing fantastic floor spot, Ryan Miller, great floor spot, all the other singers that appeared, and yourselves for turning up. Do turn up next week. Next week, Bobby Eaglesham from Edinburgh. Thank you for coming. More sober going, and do be quiet going along the lane. We'll see you next week.